our channel. This is Science Lectures 256. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on our social media handles. That is at X at Science Lectures 256 and on WhatsApp at Science Lectures 256. We have a new WhatsApp channel. So we are still continuing with our series of Introduction to Entomology, and we are going to today look at the insect digestive system. So we saw part of the insect morphology, and now we venture into the insect anatomy. How does the insect look like? And here we began with the digestive system. So the insect digestive system is divided into three major parts. Number one, it is divided into the foregut. Then number two, we have the midi gut. This from here to here is the midi gut. Up to here is the midi gut, as here middle gut. Then from here to where it ends is the hind gut. This is, then from here up to here is the hind gut. Very important to note that the foregut can be called the stomedium. The midgut is called the mesentron. And the hindgut is called the proctodam. So in our earlier series of invertebrates, we say that insects are triploblastic. They are triploblastic. And being triploblastic means that it is made up, the insect is made up of three germ layers. The endoderm, then the mesoderm, then the ectoderm. And before you forget, we say insects are protostomes. Protostome, members of the class Protostomia, whose mouth develops before the anal opening. The blastopore forms an oral opening before forming the anal opening. And insects have a complete digestive system. The complete digestive system or alimentary canal is the one that has an oral opening and an anal opening. So endoderm, ectoderm, and mesoderm. So the foregut is ectodermal, and the endoderm and the hindgut is also ectodermal, So the hindgut comes from the ectoderm. The hindgut is formed by invagination of the ectoderm, and the foregut is also formed by invagination of the ectoderm. And the part of the ectoderm that forms the foregut is what we call the intimia. And actually this intimia forms the cuticle. So when you try to label this structure here, this black line that you are seeing here is the cuticle. So this is the cuticle of the foregut, and this is also the cuticle of the hindgut. Yes, that is very important to note. The midgut has no cuticle. The cuticle is within the foregut and the hindgut. Then, we start labeling in video, but we begin with the preoral cavity. So, the pre, as you are before you move into the oral cavity. This preoral cavity is divided into two parts. Number one, it is divided into the cerebellum and the salivarum. So earlier we discussed the insect mouthy parts. The insect mouth parts we said are either mandibulate or housefed, and we say the mandibulate mouth parts are made up of the mandibles, the labrum, the labium, and the maxilla. And we said the uppermost part of the labrum is what we call the epipharynx. If you've not watched that video, please do so. So the cerebrum is the part between the epipharynx and the hypopharynx. So the epipharynx is the region between the epipharynx and the hypopharynx. And the salivarum is the region between the hypopharynx hypopharynx. We say the hypopharynx is the tongue of the insect, hypopharynx, and the salivary glands, salivary glands. So those are the two parts that make up the preoral cavity, the cerebrum and the salivarium. Then from there, the next part of the gut is the pharynx. So I want us to talk about the pharynx. As we discussed in the mouth part, we said some insects can feed on solid food like leaves, like polythene, or feces. All those are solid foods. But most of some insects are nectar feeders. They feed on liquids. So insects that feed on liquids have a pharynx that is modified from what they call a suction pump. The suction pump. The pharynx in insects that feed on liquids is modified from a suction pump, and the role of this suction pump is to propel liquids from the preoral cavity up to when they reach the next part, which we are going to see. So the epipharynx in liquid feeders forms the suction pump. Then in solid feeders, the role of the pharynx is to push food to the gullet, pushes food to the gullet, or they call the oesophagus. So the next, from the pharynx, the next part is the oesophagus, or the esophagus. So the esophagus moves the food from the pharynx to the next part, which is the crop. Let's talk about the crop. So the crop is also known as the first stomach of an insect. Why? It acts as a store for food. That is the major role of the crop. But different insects have different dietary requirements. So the crop in honeybees is called the honey stomach. Why is it called the honey stomach? Because it is where a conversion of nectar to honey starts. That is why it is called the honey stomach. So those are the parts that make up the foregut. If I forget, the last part is called the proventriculus. So as you hear, pro means before. So it is the part before the ventriculus. So the proventriculus is what in some texts it will be called the gizzard of the insect. The role of this gizzard is it plays a role in mechanical digestion of food. However, insects that feed on liquid foods or substances don't have a gizzard or the proventriculus. However, this gizzard is modified in various insects to suit the various feeding requirements. For example, in cockroaches, it is tooth-like. Why is it tooth-like? To crush and grind food. Then in fleas, it is spine-like. See? Spine-like. Why is it spine-like? To break down the blood coagulations. Fleas feed on blood, so the blood tends to clot. So the spine-like gizzard breaks down that coagulation. Then in honeybees, it is modified to form a plate-like structure. So that they can separate nectar from pollen. So those are the various modifications of the gizzard, but it plays a role in mechanical digestion of food, and you said it's also called the proventriculus. So I repeat, the stromedium or the foregut is made up of the preoral cavity, the pharynx, the oesophagus, the crop, and the proventriculus. And I said it is lined by a cuticle. And before I forget, this cuticle is always shed off. Whenever an insect molts, the cuticle is also shed off and it will be replaced by a new cuticle. So those are the parts that make up our gut. Next, I want us to look at the mid-gut. The mid-gut is made up of majorly two parts. Number one, it is made up of what they call the gastric caeca, and the ventriculus. That is why we call this proventriculus before the ventriculus. Then its inner lining, since it has no cuticle, is surrounded by the peritrophic membrane. So those are the parts that make up the mid-gut. I want us to look at each of these and their roles. Let's begin with the peritrophic membrane. The peritrophic membrane. So, since the mid-gut has no cuticular lining, but remember, these insects not only feed on liquids, they also take fluids. So the solid foods would crush the inner lining of the mid-gut. However, an insect develops a mechanism of manufacturing a membrane. This membrane, its major role is it protects the mid-gut from the mid-gut walls from crushing by solid foods. It protects the mid-gut walls from crushing by solid foods. Protects the mid-gut walls from crushing by solid foods. That is why then it also facilitates and lubricates movement of food. It facilitates and lubricates movement of food across the mid-gut. That is why when food moves here, as it will be moving here, it will go out with its peritrophic membrane. So an insect shall continue manufacturing the peritrophic membrane as long as it is still feeding. Then the mid-gut is also made up of what we call the gastric caeca. So these gastric caeca, as you can see, they are projections from the mid-gut. What is their role? They increase surface area of the mid-gut. That is number one role. Remember that as you are going to see, the mid-gut manufactures a lot of enzymes responsible for the process of digestion. Then number two, they house microbes. And we shall venture into this a little bit later. Then, before I forget, from transitioning from the foregut to the mid-gut is what they call the stomatodile valve. Valve, or what they call the pyloric valve. Then it's not called the pyloric valve, it's called the esophageal valve. Then when you're moving from the mid-gut to the hind-gut, there is what they call the pyloric valve. Food just doesn't move from one part of the gut to another. It has to be regulated that this amount of food has to move right now, just as in humans, whereby we have the pyloric sphincter muscle and the cardiac sphincter muscle. So, from the mid-gut, food will move to the hind-gut. But however, the hind-gut is made up of also a cuticular lining, which cuticular lining we say is always shed off as an insect molds. So, the hind-gut is made up of the colon, the ileum. Ileum is the first part of the hind-gut, followed by the colon, followed by the rectum, and lastly is the anus. The ileum is where the process of digestion is complete and absorption of food takes place. The colon is where reabsorption of excess water takes place. The rectum stores feces for the insect. However, this rectum has what they call rectal pads. The rectal pads make sure that all water that would be exuded within the feces is reabsorbed back into the body. And the anus is where feces are removed from the body. Then these projecting structures that you're seeing here are what we call the Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubes. Malpighian tubes, which are later see their role in osmoregulation. However, transitioning from the mid-gut to the hind-gut, there is always what they call a filter chamber. A filter chamber. A filter chamber. This filter chamber is the region between the mid-gut to the hind-gut. What happens in this place? There is removal of excess water. 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 So what would happen if you have excess water? The excess water would move into the ileum, reabsorb alongside the nutrients, and it would dilute the hemolymph, it would dilute the hemolymph, it would dilute the hemolymph, that is number 1. Then it will also dilute the digestive enzymes, reducing their concentration, digestive enzymes. So, this filter chamber is very prominent in insects that feed on liquid foods, and it is between the hindgut and the mid-gut, which is why we have removal of excess water to prevent dilation of hemolymph and dilation of digestive enzymes. So this is the outer structure of the digestive system of an insect and the various roles played by the various parts. Foregut, mid-gut, hind-gut, and we've seen the roles of each part in the process of digestion. The role of each part in the process of digestion. Process of digestion. Process of digestion. Okay, till next time.